Hello everybody, today I'll be painting a Dutch Zeelieden. This miniature is from Firelock Games, game Blood Plunder. To begin, I'm going to block out our base using tan earth. I will now move on to my whites, which I will paint using stone grey. We'll use a khaki to paint his waistcoat. For his stockings, I'll mix up German camouflage black brown and cavalry brown in a 3:1 ratio. This particular miniature has stripes molded into his breeches. I will give him a blue and white pattern. Painting every second stripe, I'll use a sky gray to fill in the whites. As for the blue stripes, we'll use a dark Prussian blue here. Carefully fill in all the areas in between your whites. I'll use Bugman's Glow to block out the miniature's skin tone. Also note that his knee is exposed, I missed that here. For his sailor sash and scarf, I'm going to mix up the 3:1 ratio of red to German camouflage black brown. As for his jacket, I'm going to mix up dark sea blue and black in a 3:1 ratio. As with all of our base coats, we'll thin this down and we'll have to apply multiple layers to get a solid coat. I like using a wet palette to keep my paints ready to go. When I'm done doing the base coat on the jacket, for example, I'll go back to my sash with the red mix. This way you're always painting something even when another piece of the miniature is drying. For the yellow trim of his jacket, we're actually going to base coat in pink. The reason for this is because the thin pigments in our yellow paint will pop with a pink base coat. I'll start by using a Screamer Pink, followed by Pink Horror. Now that we've established our pink base coat, I'm going to use Avalanche Sunset. As you can see here, the pink really helps the yellow pop, and we don't need as many coats to get a solid yellow color. I'll paint the wood furnishing of his pistol with flat brown. Next, I'll use a 50-50 mix of leather brown and German camouflage black brown to paint his leather hat as well as the handles on the daggers. The feather in his hat will be a 50-50 mix of dark Prussian blue and flat blue. Chocolate brown will be used for any gold details on the miniature, such as any buttons, jewelry, and the hilt of his knife. We'll also use chocolate brown for his hair and mustache. We'll use a black for his shoes, and we'll apply this on anywhere that'll be a steel color, such as the knife and the mechanics on the pistol. Now that we've completed the base coats for this miniature, I'm going to take Gravelord Grey, a speed paint by Army Painter, and I'm going to use this as a black lining. I'll apply this into anywhere where the colors changes and to differentiate different articles of clothing. I'll use ivory and black for the eyes. I'll take the finest brush I have and just pencil in little lines where the eyeballs are. Next, I'll use a black and dot in the pupils. After I've dotted in the pupils, I'm going to take my black and outline the eye. Doing this, I'll help shape the eye, also providing a shadow appearance and eyelashes. Once you're happy with how the eye formed, take your Bugman's Glow and clean up the black lining. You'll clean up the base coat of the face as well as the hands while you have this paint out. Don't forget the exposed knee. We'll re-establish the white of his shirt using Stone Grey. As we layer up, we're going to gradually add ivory to the Stone Grey. Moving on to the white stripes of his breeches, we're going to reapply his Sky Grey. Now we use the Sky Grey over the Stone Grey as this will result in a cooler white. As we layer up on our stripes, we're going to begin adding off-white to our Sky Grey. Because we're working with a white, we're going to have to apply more layers while we're layering up. Keep adding off-white until you're happy with the brightness. However, you don't want to end up at pure off-white. Moving on to the blue stripes, we're going to use our dark Prussian blue. Be careful as you paint this in, as you really do not want to spill onto the white. Layering up, we'll have a 50-50 mix of Prussian blue to dark Prussian blue. Next layer will be a pure Prussian blue. For a final layer on these blue stripes, I'm going to mix up 75% Prussian blue to 25% gray blue. This will be applied on all the highest folds of the breeches. Clean up his waistcoat using khaki. Layering up, we'll gradually add buff to our khaki, adding more buff for each layer until you're at your desired brightness. Next, we'll clean up our reds by reapplying our 3-to-1 mix of red to German camouflage black brown. We'll begin layering up using a red. We'll catch all the folds, leaving the darker color in the creases. Begin adding Waistcoat red into our red. At this point, I'm at approximately a 50-50 mix. We'll continue layering up to a pure Waistcoat red. For our final highlight, we'll add a hint of Iraqi sand. We'll clean up the jacket using our mix of 3 parts dark sea blue to 1 part black. I'm looking to create a nice turquoise color for his jacket, and to achieve this I'm going to begin adding German uniform to our mix. For this layer, we're at 3 parts dark sea blue to 1 part black, 1 part German uniform. This first layer is going to be covering approximately 80% of the jacket. You want to leave the darker color in any recesses and the underside of the folds. This next layer will have even more of the dark sea blue and German uniform in the mix. It'll be 4 parts dark sea blue, 1 part black, and 2 parts German uniform. This next layer will get rid of the black. We'll mix up 1 part dark sea blue and 1 part German uniform. We're now at 2 parts dark sea blue, 2 parts German uniform, and 1 part pale blue. We're going to apply this top down, so when you're looking at the miniature from the top, you're going to apply this to all the parts that are visible, leaving all your previous layers in the deeper folds, while applying this to the upward folds. Shadows are a little bit overbearing, so we're going to tie everything together by creating a glaze. We'll use 10% dark sea blue, 10% German uniform, and 80% Lamian medium. You want to just dampen your brush with this mix, and you'll apply it to the miniature, being cautious not to flood it. For the wood of the pistol, we're going to reapply the flat brown. Then we'll mix in mahogany brown up to a pure mahogany brown. Each layer will be applied in lines to imitate wood grain. If you haven't already, clean up the flesh using Buckman's Glow. For Caucasian flesh, I like using Citadel's triad of Buckman's Glow, Cadian Flesh Tone, and Kislev Flesh. We'll start with Buckman's Glow, as already seen here, and we'll layer our way up through the triad. Our first layer will be a 50-50 mix of Bugman's Glow and Cadian Flesh Tone, keeping the Bugman's Glow in the deepest recesses. Now, we'll use a pure Cadian Flesh Tone. Each layer you'll cover less of the previous color. Mixing Kislev flesh into the Cadian Flesh Tone, creating a 50-50 mix. Finally, we're at a pure Kislev flesh. This will be applied selectively onto the knuckles, nose, cheeks, and any high points on the flesh. Now we're going to take our mid-tone of Cadian Flesh Tone and mix in a hint of Luftwaffe uniform World War II. This will be applied to the jawline, creating a 5 o'clock shadow look. After that, we'll take a wash of Careboard Crimson and apply it into the mouth. We'll move back to Cadian Flesh Tone and pick out the bottom lip. Now moving on to a chocolate brown, we'll clean up the hair, mustache, and apply eyebrows. Gradually begin adding tan earth to your chocolate brown to highlight the hair. You'll want to pick out each individual strand. Keep adding tan earth until you're at your desired brightness. We're aiming for a dirty blonde. We'll clean up the hat by reapplying our 50-50 mix of German camouflage black brown to leather brown. Layer up with a straight leather brown. Now we'll mix up 50-50 leather brown to khaki. This will be applied in a patchy manner and creating little scratches. Now we'll be at approximately 25% leather, 75% khaki, and just applying little scratches once again. Now we're going to mix up Agrax Earthshade and Lamian Medium in a 50-50 mix. We'll apply this as a glaze, similar to the jacket. We'll also use this mix to wash down the base. Clean up the britches with a 50-50 mix of German camouflage black brown and cavalry brown. As we are layering up, gradually add cavalry brown to the mix, increasing the ratio of cavalry brown for every layer. Also apply this onto the band around the hat. Now add a pure cavalry brown. As you're layering up, hit the higher points on each fold. For the final highlight, I'm going to mix 50-50 mix of cavalry brown and red leather brown. Don't forget to apply this to the band. Clean up the yellow trim of the jacket using Everland Sunset. Alright, we're going to work a little backwards here. We're going to mix up 80% Averland Sunset and 20% Skeg Brown, both from Citadel. You're going to take this mix and you're going to apply it into all the areas that the shadow will be. After that, we'll go back to original Averland Sunset and just clean it up once again. To highlight, we'll add 10 yellow to our Averland Sunset. Keep layering this up until you're satisfied with the brightness. For the feather in the hat, we'll reapply our 50-50 mix of dark Prussian blue to flat blue. To highlight, gradually add pale blue. For the base, I use tan earth, and I pick out the wood grain on each plank. Next, I use Agrax Earthshade, and I'll run this in between each plank, as well as over the nails and along the rim of the base. I'll use black and clean up all the black details, as well as pick out the nail heads on the base. We'll layer up the black by gradually mixing in black-gray. We want to keep layering up until we reach a final highlight of a pure black-gray. Finish off the base by painting the rim using dried bark. Once you've given the dried bark time to dry, approximately an hour, you're going to hit the entire miniature with a matte varnish. You want to do this before you apply any metallics, so you don't risk the metal flakes bleeding into your finish. Alright, for the gold details on the miniature, we're going to mix up 50-50 mix of chocolate brown to brass. We'll apply this onto the hilt of the knife as well as any jewelry on the miniature. After we've applied this mix, we're going to use a pure brass to give it the final shine. All steel details will be painted using gunmetal. This will include any mechanisms on the pistol, the barrel, the knife blade, and the head of the nails on the base. To highlight, begin adding a little bit of silver into the gunmetal. And this concludes how I painted the Dutch Zeelieden for the game Blood Plunder. Thank you for spending time watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please like and subscribe. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll leave you with pictures of the completed unit.